Welcome, everyone, to the Fourth Line Plugs Playoff Push edition of the podcast. We're your hosts, Colin and Jackson, and we're going to be breaking down the teams at the playoff bubble here in both the Eastern and Western Conference. I got a great episode here for you guys. So for anybody who's kind of new to the NHL, maybe they came in for the Olympics, maybe they used to watch a long time ago, and haven't been up to date on how the playoffs work. They are quite different from where they used to be and where I'd say almost all the other sports exist. So there are 32 teams, 16 teams in the West, 16 teams in the East. Those teams are divided into two divisions each: the Metropolitan, the Atlantic in the East, and the Central and the Pacific in the West. There's 8 teams in each of those. In each conference, 8 teams will make the playoffs. The top 3 teams from the Central and the Pacific and the top 3 teams from the Metro and the Atlantic will make the playoffs, regardless of where they place in the overall standings of their conference or of the league as a whole. And then there will be 2 spots in each conference for the wildcard teams. And that could be 2 from the Central, or 2 from the Pacific, or 1 each. And out east, it could be 2 from the Metro, 2 from the Atlantic, or 1 each. And the rest of the teams will miss the playoffs. So I think we'll start here with the West, and we'll talk about these teams in a later episode. But Dallas, Colorado, and Minnesota are they're the 3 teams in the Central.
Yeah, those will be the top 3 teams in the Central, almost assuredly in that order, or in
Yes.
an order similar to that doesn't particularly matter. Maybe Dallas and Minnesota swap, but that doesn't affect the playoffs at all. So, yeah, we don't have to talk
Minnesota
about them.
has like a 11-point lead on the next place in their division. And then, Dallas and Colorado scale from there. So
Yep.
super safe. In the Pacific, we're not going to put any teams locked in
Yeah.
into a playoff spot there. They are all up for grabs. But we are going to get rid of a few teams here who are not going to be in the race. That's Calgary, Chicago, St. Louis, Vancouver, and Winnipeg are all pretty much out of contention. Unless something insane happens, which in the West possibly could, as like an outside chance, because this conference has been basically these 3 and the rest.
It'd be really hard for any of those teams to win enough games.
Yeah.
At the end of the year to sneak into a playoff spot. So because there's too many teams that are competing for it, right?
Yeah.
Because of these 8 teams,
8.
these 8 bubble teams that we have, there's only room for 5 of them to make it to the playoffs. So 3 of them will be disappointed.
Yes. So we're going to start here. There are 2 Central teams in contention. So we'll talk about them real quick. Starting here with Utah. So the graphic that you have on your screen here, we have one for each team. You have your record and how many points they have at the top, where they place within their division, and then the overall West, including if they hold a wildcard spot, it'll denote it with WC1 or 2. And then how many points above or below the playoff line they are. And then their remaining schedule. Each team has somewhere between 16 to 18 games remaining. And then we have groupings of teams called the Lottery, the Bubble, and the Premier. The Premier are like the top 6 in the league, the top 3 in the East and the top 3 in the West, who are like locked into playoff spots. The Lottery are all the teams that we put down here and that won't make the playoffs tier. And then the Bubble are all the teams we're talking about today, and that includes both East and Western conferences. And then the games highlighted in green are against other bubble teams in their playoff race. So, for instance, for Utah, Pittsburgh is another bubble team, but they're in the opposite side, so that game doesn't have the same level of impact, right? Because these interconference bubble games, there's multiple points on the line. There's each team could gain 2 points or lose 2 points in the race, or gain 2, lose 1, or gain 1, lose 2 in a race. So these games have a much higher point swing than the interconference ones.
Yeah, having a lot of games against the bubble teams, which Utah does, that we've got pulled up here, means that there's a lot of chances for them to gain or lose points compared to
Hmm.
other teams that will be competing. And like we said, there's the three spots in the Central are already locked. So at this point, Utah is exclusively competing for a wild card spot, which means that the points do matter even against the other Pacific teams
Yes.
because they are fighting against specific teams for those two wild card spots. They would want one of them. Right now, they're my pick to get one of them.
Yeah,
If I had to pick one, they
I agree.
currently occupy the wild card one spot. And I think they have for a little bit. They've looked like one of the more consistent teams here among these teams. So, but with 8 games against bubble teams, if they drop enough of those, I mean, they could just as easily fall out,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Yeah, they have some big games here. A pretty big stretch from March 19th to April 7th. You have to be above a 500 team, I think. If you're Utah,
Mm-hmm.
um, you
Yep.
have a pretty easy schedule closing out. So you gotta really lock in on these.
They don't really know which one of these specific teams that they're going to be playing against here are going to be the ones that they're competing with for the wild card spot, which versus which one of them are going to be in the actually winning the division in the top three place in the Pacific. So
Yeah,
it's going to be interesting. They just need to win as many games as they can.
yeah,
It really is what it is. They 100%. I would say at this point the Mammoth have the season like in their hands. Like they
hmm,
don't need any help. They just need to win these games against other bubble teams, and then they've pretty much got a clear path to making the
yeah,
playoffs.
yeah. They'll have a lot to say about who potentially makes the
Hmm.
playoffs in the Pacific, which is funny for you know a team outside that division.
Hmm.
Also, just want to note they are much better at home than away, and they have a much heavier home schedule remaining. So yeah, I think this team is kind of golden when it comes to
Hmm.
claiming this a wild card spot here. And then the other central team that's in the running here is Nashville, who we didn't initially consider, but they are 1 point below the
Yeah.
playoff line.
And they
So
have 12 games against other bubble teams. So if they
yes,
beat a lot of those teams, they could sneak their way up in.
yeah.
Um,
As you can see, the pretty important and kind of rough stretch of April 2nd to April 9th. 5 straight bubble teams, all on the road. The road
Yikes.
has been their weak spot,
Uh huh.
or I mean, this team has many weak spots. There's been definitely a weakness of this team has been the road. So that stretch could eliminate them from the playoffs. But they play that stretch pretty well. Things could happen
Yeah.
for this team.
Mm-hmm.
They control a lot.
They've been much more informed lately. They've been playing pretty well. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they can make some of those upsets. Good to call out that 5 game road stretch, though, as just like so every one of those games is going to matter, and
Yep.
they're all on the road, with a back to back in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Like, that's tough.
the B2Bs are noted. They're back to back, so back to back nights that they play. They have 3 of these in 17 games, which is on the rougher side. I
Mhm.
think the most anybody has that we'll talk about today is 4.
Yeah, but even without all of the back to backs, a lot of these schedules are very compressed because of the way that the
Yeah.
Olympic break worked out. So they're playing a lot more games than they would in normal years in this time. So whereas before maybe you'd have a game or a day in between, and then maybe you'd have a 2 day break or something like that. Here it's a lot of okay, every other day you're playing, and then oh maybe you'll have a back to back, and then you'll play again. Like you might play, they play on the 6th, the 7th, and the 9th, right? That's 3 games in four
Yeah.
days, and they also play on the 4th. So
Yep.
that is a lot. That is
Hmm.
4 games in 6 days is a lot of hockey to be playing. Um, so it can be tough.
Yeah. But I the other half of that is that you can kind of just stay on a roll. So if you're
Mhm.
hot, and you win, say that first game in LA, then you win in San Jose,
Mhm.
and you feel pretty good in those, then you can kind of just carry on that streak because there's no time to not carry it on, right? there's
Mhm.
there's no time to cool off.
Yeah, for sure.
So there's two sides to it. It'd be really good for you or really bad, depending on how you start, I think.
So how are we doing this? Are we keeping them in the possible tier? Is that what we're gonna do? Like, are we like being predictive or are we being like informative? You know?
I think a bit of both.
Okay.
I think Nashville. We might evaluate the others before we place Nashville. I think Utah's like comfortably
Yeah.
enough to put them up. I think any like the comfortably in or outs, I think we could put them where they need to go. But we can look at everybody.
Yeah.
And where they all stand.
Okay.
So moving now, so those are the two central teams who have a shot at this. So moving into the Pacific, start with the Anaheim Ducks, who do occupy the first spot. They are 8 points above the playoff line.
Yeah.
And they have a lot less games compared to Nashville and Utah against fellow bubble teams in the West. But still a lot of them. They play Ottawa, Montreal, and I think that's it in the East.
Yeah.
As far as the bubble, but.
They've got actually a pretty easy schedule with only two games against the top tier teams and 7 lottery games. One more away game than home game, but they've been much worse away than at home.
Yeah.
But this is a very... I would say I would put them in the Pacific tier. I don't know that they'll win the Pacific, but I have a hard time believing that they'll drop out of the top 3 in the Pacific.
Yeah. They're well above. They have to be 4 points underwater or 4 games underwater to get caught, which means they have to be losing 4 more games, and somebody else has to go and win those for to make up.
That's gonna be the tough thing in the Pacific. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel pretty confident about their chances here.
Yeah, they might be the only team that I put in that tier. We'll see as we move on to the next Pacific team.
Yeah, next up we got the Edmonton Oilers, who are currently 3rd in the Pacific, 5 points above the playoff line. They have a lot of games against these teams in this bubble region. They will, similar to Utah, control a lot of how this is going to go, or maybe not control, influence a lot of how this playoff picture is gonna unfold.
Yeah, I think they'll do it, but not as much so as like the Ducks. Not as comfortable as I feel about the Ducks. Like,
yeah,
they've had some very rough stretches of hockey this year. So yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Like, I don't trust everything on the backside of their team.
Everything after Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I kind of trust Bouchard is going to score goals.
That's true.
And contribute offensively, but I mean, man, they're going to be glad they don't have to play Dallas anymore. I'll tell you that. Dallas has tore them up. I think by a combined score of like 15-5 in the last 2 games. And yeah, I think they'll have some easier times matching up with their fellow, Pacific teams in here. They got a couple against San Jose, a couple against Vegas. But yeah, I have a hard time being confident in this team.
Yeah, I mean, this is the goaltending here has just been terrible.
Yeah,
Jari has not been the answer that they wanted from him,
and their defense.
And their defense has been obviously bad in front of that defensively. Bouchard can still man a power play, but but in terms of goal prevention, this team just doesn't prevent goals.
No, that's not in their repertoire.
No,
to do so.
Yeah,
I can move them, I guess, in the Pacific.
Yeah,
slot. They also could be the wild card team. But like they probably make it.
They probably make the playoffs.
But they're certainly a team where like if they have one injury down the stretch, which we'll talk about some teams with some injuries,
Hmm.
and when we get to the other half of the league, um,
Yeah, it
they could
doesn't
be
even have to
really,
be McDavid or Draisaitl. Like they're like a Matthias Ekholm or an RNH away from limping
yeah,
into not being a playoff team. So,
yeah.
hmm
Next up, we got the LA Kings, who are currently 1 point outside the playoffs. Um,
hmm
they are the biggest overtime merchant team in the league. They have 26 wins. 10 of them have come in overtime or shootout. 16 of them have come in regulation. They have 15 overtime or shootout losses. Uh,
that's a lot of overtime shootout games.
they have the easiest schedule
Yeah.
coming up. Um, they
hmm
played 12 lottery teams,
Yep.
only 5 bubble teams, only one premier team. They play Buffalo at home, which is a bad thing because their home record is absolutely horrendous compared to their away record,
hmm
um, which they
Which
have an
is
even
wild.
split of home and away.
hmm
I think this team probably limps in uh, because their schedule's so easy.
If
But like
any
I could
team
easily see
isn't,
this team missing.
I don't feel confident putting them above possible. Like
Yeah,
if I had to guess right now, I'd probably guess that they are a wild, like get the last wild card spot
yeah,
just based on how easy their schedule is. But also, this team has been giga disappointing all year, and they are a little injured. You know,
hmm
just not playing particularly good. Like I don't know.
yeah. The similar to Nashville, they have a big homestand. And actually, I forgot to. So, full transparency behind the scenes here. Nashville, we added them. I added them hour before recording uh, to this episode, and I did not change them to green. So this is actually 2 more bubble games that are
hmm
important right here in the Nashville. 2 Nashville games there. That like 328 Utah to 411 Edmonton, all at home. Got Utah,
hmm
Nashville twice in Edmonton. Their home record hasn't been good. Like that's a big stretch
Yeah, they
for
have
this
to take
team.
care of those games that they should win
Yeah,
if they want to make the playoffs.
and then like you gotta because they're tied right now with Nashville,
hmm
and they're Edmonton, one of the teams they're chasing down. Like they have to win those games, or they will likely end up outside if they don't
hmm
win everything else around it. So yeah, I hope this team doesn't make the playoffs, and not anything against the LA Kings, but like being that big of an overtime merchant in the Pacific, like that's just gross.
I just rather see some of these other teams that we're talking about here. There's some exciting teams here, and then there's the Kings, who I think are just not that exciting this year.
Yeah,
Part of making it to OT means that they don't have a lot of games where they score a lot of goals.
mm-hmm.
They limit goals and they don't score a lot, and that
Yeah,
leads to lots of OT, and it's just a little less exciting to watch, I would say.
yeah.
hmm
Next up, we have the Seattle Kraken,
hmm
who like 2 weeks ago looked pretty comfy as being a playoff team, but they have had a real struggle and are
hmm
now 1 point outside, tied with those Kings and with those Predators. Um, and they don't have the schedule that the Kings have. I'll tell you that. Um, they still have they have a game with Colorado. They have a game with Minnesota. They got a game with Buffalo. They got a game with Tampa. They got
hmm
2 with Tampa, um, which that's gonna be pretty tough for them.
Yeah.
They're
No.
weaker on the road and they have a much heavier road schedule. Uh,
Yeah, this is a tough schedule for them. And it's a team that I think really I don't think most people expected them to be a playoff team, but I think they kind of did. They kind of thought that they had a chance to do it, and so being able to prove that would be, I think, big for them. As a team
mhm.
that's young, it's a team that's been kind of mediocre, and where I think a playoff stint would like look really good for them. Like it would feel really good for them,
Yeah.
even if they just get bounced in the first round. I think there's a lot of pressure on this group to make the playoffs this year, when they're in such a good striking distance. But in terms of the teams that are tied with them in the playoff standings right now, this is probably the hardest schedule that we've talked about so far.
Mm-hmm.
So that's gonna be really tough.
Yeah. I think I like them a little bit more than the Kings, just like on an objective scale.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I'd rather bet on the Kings schedule. The
Right.
Kings clean up their schedule much more than Seattle cleaning up this schedule. If
Absolutely.
Seattle was, like Anaheim, where they had like an 8 point lead, I could see them, doing just enough to making it, but that they're
Mm-hmm.
already 1 point outside, so they have to make up additional ground.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be
That's
a
gonna
tough
be
ask.
tough. Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be a tough ask, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Next up, we got the San Jose Sharks, who, as of last night, moved up to 1 point above this playoff line,
Mm-hmm.
with, again, 3 teams 1 point outside of them. So not a big lead, but they got a lead, which is insane to think about for what the Sharks team is
Yeah.
of Celebrini
Celebrini and
and
Co.
others.
Mhm. Yes.
And some occasionally great and occasionally terrible goaltending.
Yes.
But because Askarov and Ned have had some really really good stretches and some not so good stretches. So
Mm-hmm.
this team, I just have a hard time betting on them. But things they
They're
have a lot of control.
they're so young and they're
Yeah,
so inexperienced in terms of like playing these games that matter, and they're also so top heavy. Like there's not like I know there's not a single team that would hurt more from losing their top guy than this team would. I think without Macklin
yeah,
Celebrini, this is the worst team in the NHL by a wide margin.
hmm
If you take away the top player of any team, basically, this is by far the worst team in the NHL
yeah,
without Celebrini. So obviously he can't miss any time or miss any beats in terms of how well he's been playing. But he hasn't. He's been amazing so far this year. So yeah, this is a winnable schedule. This is a lot of fate in their own hands in terms of other teams that are in this range that they could beat, and they are currently 1 point above the playoffs. So they have to win one less game than those other teams that we've been
yeah.
talking about, right? Comparatively, it's very doable.
hmm
Very doable.
Yeah, they played Nashville 3 times, and Nashville's 1 point behind them, so
Mm-hmm.
they could almost single handedly bury Nashville
Mm-hmm.
as one of the contenders chasing them down.
Yeah.
Um, and then they got a couple against Anaheim. Probably not going to have a big impact on as regards to that, but like they
Mm-hmm.
they have a couple against Edmonton.
Right. Those could
That
matter.
could come. That could be
Mm-hmm.
impactful. They only got one top team of Buffalo at home, which they've been much better at home than the road, and they
Mm-hmm.
are slightly heavier schedule at home. Um, so I mean, to shout out, another part of the schedule, that 3:30 against St. Louis to,
Mm-hmm.
4-9 at Anaheim. That's what, quick math, 6 home games in a row, and then a
Yeah.
road game in Anaheim. All big games there. If they can clean up that part of the schedule, they have St. Louis. Toronto's
Mm-hmm.
looking like the worst team in hockey. Um,
And they might be for longer if Austin Matthews misses extended time, which I think he's probably going to get shut down for this year. So.
yeah, he's getting an MRI today, so
Mm-hmm.
I'd be surprised to see Austin Matthews again for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Chicago's not much better than Toronto, and Vancouver has been the worst team in hockey for pretty much the entirety of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this second column here, if they can clean this up, they're in pretty good shape as long as they
Yeah.
don't like lose the entire first and third columns.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I
Yeah.
don't think they're doing anything in the playoffs if they make it.
But it's bonus.
But
It's bonus hockey at that point,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
you just get to have Celebrini in the playoffs a year ahead of schedule
yep,
after his time in the Olympics playing big time minutes. there. I think that's going to be huge for his continued development as probably the next star of the league.
Yeah.
So
The only thing I will say for this team just does not string together wins with any kind of consistency. This team cannot go on a win streak. So saying that they're going to clean up this part of the schedule, just it feels like they're going to go 500-ish. But
yeah,
I mean, they could. Somebody has to make the playoffs in this.
Yeah,
in this grouping.
Yeah, they've got an easy enough schedule, and they've got that point in hand over the other teams that
And then lastly, we have the Vegas Golden Knights, who are second in the Pacific, 7 points above the playoff line. They have not an easy schedule, but not a hard schedule either. They still do play, in Dallas. They host Buffalo.
Only one back-to-back.
In Colorado. What was that?
So only one back-to-back. That's crazy.
Yeah, one back-to-back, which is nice. And that's, going from Nashville to Dallas. So you got some travel there. You got a one time zone hop, so not the easiest back-to-back by any means. Especially
they were gonna lose the Dallas game anyway, so I think it doesn't matter that much, right? Just call that one a loss.
So they still got some tough games here. They can put away Seattle. They got a couple of big ones against Edmonton. I think will be really important games for this team.
Yes, for sure. I think those probably determine the Pacific seeding. If I had to guess, those games will. I want to put them in the Pacific tier and just say that those are the three teams that are going to come out of the Pacific. I don't know what order. And I don't know, and obviously any one of them could drop if one of the other teams gets hot and surpasses them. But those are the three teams that look like they're coming out of the Pacific right now. And if they don't, then it would be hard for them to miss a wild card. They'd have to lose a lot of games that they probably shouldn't, or have a big injury that causes that or something like that. So I think this looks pretty good to me, right? We say these are the three teams out of the Central. We know that for sure. So it's Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota coming out of the Central. Anaheim, Edmonton, and Vegas coming out of the Pacific. We have the Utah Mammoth as one wild card team that's pretty much locked. And then the possibilities for that last wild card spot are the Kings, the Predators, the Sharks, and the Kraken.
Yeah.
I think that makes the most sense to me as to that's the most likely way that things are going to happen. One of those four teams below there is going to be that last wild card team, and then that's just how the playoffs are going to look. So,
if you had to take a bet, who would you pick, or what order would you put the Pacific teams?
I think Anaheim, Edmonton, and then Vegas. I think the order that we have them in is correct. Currently, Vegas is 2 points above Edmonton, but I think Vegas has not been playing particularly good hockey, and Edmonton usually finds a way to heat up towards the end of the year. So I don't know that that's necessarily going to be the case. Also, all it takes is Tristan Jarry flipping a switch and becoming an actually good goaltender for them to actually be a pretty good team. Yeah. And he's done that, not with any amount of regularity, but he's very capable of doing that on any given day. You could just wake up one day and all of a sudden Tristan Jarry is a top 15 goalie in the National Hockey League. And it's we should trade him for Brett Kulak in a second round pick. So high.
And then, it's almost impossible to say. Who would you take gun to your head to get the last wild card spot?
I think it's probably the Kings. They have the easiest schedule and they have the most consistency, I guess, of as a team. That's not who I want to get the spot, but if I had to pick, I would pick any of the other teams over the Kings in terms of teams that I want to see in the playoffs. Nashville, because I think that would be hilarious. Just the whiplash of good team, second worst team in the National Hockey League, and then back to a wild card team the year after, while making minimal changes from last year to this year, I would say, in terms of like who are the dominant players on their team. Obviously, they've made a lot of changes, but like the core of the team is the same.
Yeah.
So that would be pretty funny. The Sharks, because I think it'd be awesome for that young team to get some playoff some playoff experience, and I think the Kraken kind of similar to the Sharks, but I think there's a little more expectations on them, and they have some more veterans, and potentially I don't know. I mean, it is very possible that that Seattle could win playoff games. I think it would be tough because they'll be up against Colorado, but like Decord and Grubauer have both been like extremely hot at times this year, and they've looked pretty unbeatable. So like goaltending wise, Seattle has I think a pretty cool edge there come playoff time where they could make things exciting. I think.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say they're favored in anything against Colorado. But
well, of course not.
If you had to say like, if the score's 2-1, who's gonna win? I think Seattle that's like the highest chance for Seattle is if they can, they can slow it down to a 2-goal, 1-goal, 3-goal game.
And they have had stretches of this year where they've been very good at that, and they've won a lot of games, which is why they're in the position that they're in, and why they were in a better position earlier and that have fallen out a little bit because they've been a little less good, a little more injured, those kind of things. So
yeah, I think it's between Los Angeles and San Jose, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think those are the two most likely.
Too tough.
Yeah,
and then Nashville, I just don't trust them to get it done.
Yeah.
But
they've got the schedule that they could do it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, if they win all these green games, they're making the playoffs.
Well, look, they play the Sharks 3 times and they play the Kings twice, right? If they win all 5 of those games, regardless of what they do in the other games, they probably make the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, they shut down one of those teams, and then Seattle, continues to struggle, and they have a harder schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we talked about it earlier, but really that March 2nd, or not March, April 2nd, 4th, and 6th, middle of that road series against the Kings, the Sharks, and then the Kings again, I think is probably Nashville's only chance at making the playoffs here, is if they win all 3 of those games.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting.
Yep.
It's a fun race. It's a fun race. Like these Pacific teams are not good. These 4 teams, I think that we're talking the Kings, the Preds, the Sharks, and the Kraken. They're not very good teams.
No.
But they are exciting teams, and they are close in terms of what they are there. So who gets that last spot is going to be pretty interesting. Yeah. And then who ends up with a lottery pick and winning the lottery. That could also be pretty interesting because I don't know. I just got a feeling some more shenanigans are afoot.
Yeah, definitely possible.
Well, there's 2 cursed teams that could potentially have the best odds. In Calgary and Vancouver, I think are both completely cursed. So we obviously know neither of them are winning the lottery.
Yeah.
So like someone else has to.
And their name is the Florida Panthers.
Please no. Not the Panthers.
Their name is the Chicago Blackhawks.
Oh, God. I don't think my heart could handle the Panthers.
Their name is the Toronto... No, they're in that cursed tier, too.
They are in that cursed tier. No, they would have the 6th... they would just get the 6th pick, That we all know that's where Toronto's pick is headed. So.
Yeah.
Right into Boston's hands at the 6th pick.
Yep. So moving on here to the Eastern Conference, we will do what we did with the West. There are a few teams that are clearly in the playoffs, but not all of them are in the same conference or in the same division this time.
Yeah.
So we do have Tampa and Boston in the Atlantic.
In Buffalo.
Or sorry, Tampa and Buffalo in the Atlantic.
Which, really, really quick, shocker right there on Buffalo, coming into the year. Can we talk about how ridiculous their year has been? That's all I'll say about it. Just, holy shit, this team has turned it around, and they're really good.
Yeah. I think we'll probably do like a contender breakdown video coming up where we'll like deep dive into Boston. But yeah, or sorry, not Boston, Buffalo.
We might deep dive into Boston too. Honestly, there are a couple of teams that have overperformed their expectations.
Yeah.
And so I think it would be interesting if we had a episode about kind of what changed for them.
Yeah. And then in the Metro, Carolina is very, very, very comfortably ahead of the rest of the Metro. They're going to make the playoffs. And then the teams that are just straight up not going to make the playoffs, shockingly, Florida is down in this group.
Yeah.
Disappointingly, the New Jersey Devils are in this group.
Yep.
Disappointing to you, the Rangers are in this group. Philly, there's an argument that we could leave Philly up here.
They're so close to being in the won't make the playoffs tier. I think we just have to put them in there.
Yeah.
They're not technically eliminated like points wise. They could do it, but the problem is that there's too many other teams that have points ahead of them that it would be really hard for them to do that. Yeah. So they're currently 4 points out of the playoffs.
5, I think.
And there's 2 teams ahead of them that won't make the playoffs that are in that range, basically. Yeah. Like they're 4 points behind. I see them 4 points behind the Jackets, who also are out of the playoffs.
Yep.
Right. So it's like that becomes too much for them to overcome, and the Capitals are in the same place as them, so we'll throw them and won't make the playoffs as well. Toronto, to everyone's surprise. The Atlantic is just weird this year with the top 2 teams from the Atlantic both not making the playoffs this year. But that's how things go when you're injured for Florida and terribly constructed, unlucky, cursed. How many more words can we come up with to talk about the Maple Leafs? We might need to have a full Leafs like what went wrong with the Leafs episode. I don't know if your heart can take that, but I think that would be a good.
I'll channel my inner Steve Dangle and do a Leafs have broken my heart segment in the future. But this is playoff time. We don't need to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs.
That's true. Yeah, anymore. Don't need to talk about the Leafs anymore.
And then also shout out the Capitals real quick. They do have the same amount of points as Philly and Ottawa, so they theoretically could be in this race. But they also have played like 3 more games than everybody else. So they are 2.5 games outside, and everybody has 2 to 3 games in hand on them.
Yep.
So the math is not there for them, and they also sold.
They also sold. Yeah. The trajectory is going down as opposed to going up. So
yeah. In the West though, we would both have probably Philly and Washington in the conversation.
I mean, in the West, the Capitals at the deadline, and they're probably favorites to win the Pacific.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I saw. I think it was Ottawa has the same or more points than everybody in the Pacific, but Anaheim. And they're all battling for a playoff spot, and Ottawa might be sitting outside.
Ottawa is currently 1 point behind the Golden Knights, who are second in the Pacific.
Nice.
So yeah, but they do have a game in hand.
Yeah.
Sorry, they have 2 games in hand.
Yeah. and we're gonna talk about Ottawa as being a team that is on the outside looking in, whereas Vegas is like they should comfortably win get a division spot.
Yeah.
So that is the difference in these conferences. Is kind of stark. So we'll get started here. We're gonna mix these two, the Eastern teams, because they're kind of battling for
a lot of different spots.
A lot of different spots, and both wild cards are much more open than in the West, where Utah kind of owns one of the wild card spots. Here, I don't think anybody owns a wild card spot.
No, I don't think anyone owns the. Spoiler alert, but we'll talk about who's going to get second and third in the Metro. I don't think any team owns either of those 2 spots either. So,
so starting off here, alphabetically, we have the Boston Bruins, who currently hold that second wildcard spot in the East. They're 5th in the Atlantic. They are 1 singular point above the playoff line.
Yep.
And I think on paper, I would say this team has a decent shot at the playoffs. But when you look at their amount of games left on the road and their record associated with that, that's a scary picture.
And the hard games that they've got too, with 6 games
Yes.
against top teams in the league, and a lot of those being on the road.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah, they got Tampa on the road, Carolina on the road, Buffalo on the
and
road.
also look, all of their bubble games against Eastern teams here are on the road. They have at Montreal, at Detroit, at Columbus, at Columbus. Columbus is one of the teams I think that is primed to take that wild card spot from them, and they'd have to basically beat them twice on the road in order to maintain that spot, because Columbus is currently 1 point behind them in the standings.
Yeah.
With the same number of games played. So this is definitely my pick of teams in the wild card right now that are going to drop. Be looking at this schedule.
I agree.
Don't have a lot of faith in this team to be able to hold out their performance, just because of how poor their away record has been. Really, like having 11 away games to 6 home games left in the year, with almost all of your important games being away games, and having, it's going to be really hard for the Bruins, I think.
Yeah. At Columbus twice, Detroit, Montreal, at Buffalo, at Tampa, at Carolina. And then, even at home, they only have 6 of them, but they have Dallas, Tampa, and Minnesota all at home.
Yeah.
Those are not going to be easy home games. The Toronto, Winnipeg, New Jersey probably are, but
Dallas, so 3 of their 6 home games aren't even are difficult games for them to win.
Yeah.
Like it really is kind of a dire schedule for them.
Yeah.
And there's another team here with a pretty dire schedule that we'll talk about later, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be pretty tough for Boston to close this out with all the teams around them.
Yep.
And also, I think the Atlantic's slightly harder just because I think there's no world that Tampa and Buffalo miss. So there's 2 spots that are kind of locked up, whereas the Metro has only 1 spot truly locked up.
Yeah.
So I think the math is pretty tough for Boston here.
Right. Yeah, there's also only 2 bad teams in the Atlantic versus the 4 in the Metro. So, yeah.
And one of those bad teams is Florida, who
who is just liable to
turn it on.
Oh, absolutely.
Next up is those Columbus Blue Jackets, who I've elected to wear, for this episode. Because I like their chances. They are 1 point below right now, 4th in the Metro, and they're knocking on this door. I think they can get it done here. They do have not the easiest schedule. A lot of bubble games, a lot of games against contenders. You got a couple against Carolina, 3 games against Carolina. That could be 3 losses very easily. They got a game against Buffalo. Obviously, they have the 2 against Boston. They also have 2 against Montreal. You got New York. They got Detroit. So they have some tough games. They also have 4 back-to-backs in this stretch. So that's not
tough.
fun.
That for April 11th, April 12th at Montreal and then at home versus Boston. Seems like it's going to be something that could be pretty important. Winning both halves of that back-to-back is going to be tough. But especially, I think the Boston one is going to be the one that matters more, and that's the second half. So
that's where you're going to give the start to Greaves.
Yes.
Lincolns have Montreal, and whatever happens. But you give Greaves the Boston game for sure.
So very interesting team. Yeah, only 1 point below the playoffs right now, 1 point behind Boston for that second wild card spot. And it kind of looks like, with how they've been trending, because they've been very good of late, that they're going to be they're going to be there. Although they are 5-1-4 in their last 10, so cooled off a little bit in terms of actually finishing those games out.
Well, that is points in 9 of their last 10. So
yes. They're certainly been very good
in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
So I mean, even if they go 0-3 against Carolina, if they get 1 point in each of those, I mean that might be good enough.
it might be. Yeah,
Uh,
we'll keep them here impossible, I think, until we look at all the teams. But they're
yeah,
probably going to be one of my picks for the wild card.
yeah.
So, mhm.
Coming up next is Detroit, who
Yeah.
is currently fourth in the Atlantic in that wild card one spot. They're 2 points above the playoff line. They were way above the playoff line
Hmm.
for a good chunk of the season. They held first in the Atlantic for a little bit, and they have had some really bad struggles. It is March, which is
Hmm.
Detroit's least favorite month. Historically, they have been extremely bad in March,
Yep.
and they have really been struggling as of late.
Yeah, they got 3 home games against Montreal, Boston, and Ottawa towards the end of March, and I feel like every one of those games is must win for them
Yeah.
if they want to keep their playoff spot.
Yep.
Hmm.
Then they got Columbus, they got Pittsburgh. Also have some tough ones. They go to Dallas. That's not going to be easy for them. They go to
Mm.
Buffalo. Also not going to be easy. They host
Yeah,
Minnesota. Then they go to Tampa, second to last game of the season.
yeah. At Tampa, at Florida, even with Florida not playing for anything at all, is probably not how you want to end your season.
Yeah.
So that's going to be tough because both those games will probably end up mattering
Hmm.
if not for whether you make the playoffs or not, but probably whether you are the third seed in the Atlantic versus one of the wild card teams.
Yep.
So extremely important for them.
Yeah. And then they also have of their easy games, quote unquote easy games, because no NHL games are like truly easy. They have three against Philly. And Philly has been consistently a team who is stolen games all year.
You cannot sleep
Um,
on this Flyers team. If they get you to, well, first of all, if they get you to the shootout, they get a guaranteed win.
yeah,
So they're not even playing. They don't even have to play to win. They can just play to a tie, and then they'll pull it out. But yeah,
yeah,
they're a team that has been a constant thorn in the side of playoff teams. They've been definitely overperforming there and struggling against some of the other lottery teams, which is why they've fallen out of the playoffs.
yeah. But I mean, they're
Hmm.
probably not going to 3-0 Philly here.
No.
Um, and then I didn't want to clutter this too much, but of note, Dylan Larkin and Andrew Kopp are out a minimum 2 weeks, and they're going to be reevaluated after those 2 weeks.
Hmm. Which means they'll
Uh,
play after those 2 weeks, I'm sure, unless they've completely fallen out of the playoffs.
yeah,
But my guess is that they're probably not going to be 100%.
yeah. And those 2 weeks, if we measure from today, is at Dallas against then the Calgary, the Montreal, the Ottawa, the Boston, and then at Buffalo, and then they might come back against Philly, but that's a back to back, so they might not come against Philly and get 3 extra days, and then come back against Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
They could be in a perilous position if they lose,
yeah. That
the
stretch of
majority
home
of these
games we
games.
talked about, they will be playing for sure without Larkin and Kopp, their top two centers.
Yeah,
So that is tough,
yeah,
very tough. Hmm.
yeah. That's brutal.
Yeah.
Um, I I would think that this is a team that I would be more confident in making
Hmm.
it, but with those injuries and that of that stretch of time, I mean
Yeah,
it's tough.
it is.
It is tough. Next up here, I think the first team that we're actually going to move out of this tier with some confidence is the Montreal Canadiens.
Hmm.
Currently sit third in the Atlantic, fourth in the East. They are 5 points above the playoff line, which is decently comfortable in this grouping here of everybody else dancing on the line.
Uh-huh.
They're 2.5 games above it. They have a lot of games left compared to everybody else. They have 18 left, and they have a
Hmm.
lot of games against bubble teams in both conferences.
I think for them, the games that are going to matter though are going to be the ones against Atlantic teams because I think they are at this point competing for most likely, assuming nothing crazy happens, they're competing for either that third Atlantic spot or a wild card spot. Basically,
Yeah,
it's unlikely that they miss the playoffs at this point. Obviously possible, but unlikely. So I think
yeah,
what is going to matter is them and lucky for them, they get to play against Boston at home, So
Yep.
that's advantageous for them, and then they
Hmm.
get to play against Detroit without Dylan Larkin.
Yeah.
So those are going to be two big games for them that they'll probably get in hand, and then they can probably ride out their relatively easy. Although I mean, these bubble games are tough, not just because they matter a lot in the standings, but also because these are teams that are playing for a ton,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah. San Jose and Anaheim are going to bring their A game because
mhm,
well, specifically San Jose,
yeah,
because they want to make the playoffs.
hmm
Nashville too. They're another one I forgot to color them in,
yeah.
but
But
there's
if
Nashville.
yeah, if they go to Nashville there and Nashville is sitting like still 1 point out of the playoffs, that Nashville game is going to be tough.
Yeah.
Um,
Columbus is going to give
hmm
them
Yeah,
everything they got.
exactly. The
That New
Islanders
York
will
game if
most
it.
likely still be playing for stuff on the 12th, and obviously on the 21st of March that'll be a hard fought battle. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And they still got a pair against Carolina. They still got Tampa,
mm-hmm.
and they got a pair against Carolina and a pair against Tampa. Those are not easy games by any means.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not easy for them.
No.
They could just lose all these important games and fall out of the playoffs
If
entirely.
I had to pick one
But
team to be though, this is the team I would pick.
I think they're gonna make it.
Like if I were
Um,
to put my team in any of these teams' positions, I would out of all these possible teams, I would want them in
yeah,
Montreal's position with that schedule, with these games in hand. So yeah,
yeah,
I think I would pick them to come out of the Atlantic as well.
yeah. Especially
Mm-hmm.
like with the context of Buffalo's, oh sorry, Boston's road heavy record
Mm-hmm.
schedule, and then Detroit's injuries. We're going to talk about another wild card team here in a minute. They're also dealing with a number of injuries.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think Montreal has enough of a cushion to stay above some of these teams that are in much worse positions
Mm-hmm.
with this lead. If they were one of the teams that are 1 point under or 1 point over, it could be a little bit more perilous. But um, I have a hard time thinking they're going to drop below multiple of these teams in bad situations.
I agree.
Next up is the New York Islanders, currently set third in the Metro. That's only 2 points above the playoff line. Welcome to the East.
Mm-hmm.
And they have 17 games remaining. A very heavy home schedule. They seem to be pretty comfortable either on the road or at home. So not a big deal there. But if you're good at home, I think this is a huge advantage, which they are good at home. They do have a ton of back-to-backs. They have 5 back-to-backs. I think that's the most of any team we cover here. Um,
Yeah, and
and
some pretty important ones too. Like I think
yeah,
that Columbus game on the 22nd of March is on the second half of back to back after going to Montreal. Those are
yep,
both potentially important games for him. They got Ottawa and Montreal back to back on the 11th and 12th. You know,
yep,
Pittsburgh on the 30th, and then at Buffalo on the 31st. That's going to be a tough stretch
yep,
of a back to back there. So definitely not an easy schedule here, despite the number of home games that they've got left.
yeah,
Just because of that.
yeah. It's really condensed, which is weird because they also have a 5 days off between the Carolina and Toronto games. So it's like, why couldn't you get one of us, a game slot in there and miss it back to back? But you know, uh, schedules are what schedules are.
Schedules
Um,
are what schedules are. Yep.
they have a pair against Carolina still. They still have a date with Dallas and Buffalo. So definitely some tough
Mm-hmm.
games. And that Carolina one coming after a home game against Philly. This is just a tough little stretch here.
Yeah.
Really, this like Pittsburgh to Montreal. You can ignore the Toronto game, but like that's a really important stretch um,
Mm-hmm.
to clean up. You have 3 back to backs, and then multiple days off in between those back to backs
Yep.
against Pittsburgh, Ottawa, Montreal, important games, and then
Yeah.
Buffalo, Carolina, pretty tough ones. So
Yeah, because like you're gonna play what's his face? You're gonna play Sorokin against Carolina in that Philly Carolina back to
yeah,
back there, right? And then that means that you're exposing yourself to getting Phillied.
yeah. I mean, lucky for them, Riddick has also been
Yes, he
maybe
has
the
been.
best backup in the NHL.
He has been a really good backup, but he's still not not
Yeah,
the
he's not Sorokin.
Vesna, not the Vesna caliber goalie that
Yeah,
Sorokin has been this year. So, um, yeah, I am very confident. I think that this Islanders team will make the playoffs.
I agree.
I'm not 100% confident that they will maintain a spot not in the wild card. There's just like I mean they're only a couple of points ahead of they're 2 points ahead of the Blue Jackets right now,
Yep.
right? And they're tied with the Penguins right now. So like I think anything can happen there in
Hmm.
terms of who's going to get those last two. Any two of those three teams could get the last two Metro spots,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I agree. I think this is a playoff team.
Yeah.
I hope it's a playoff team. I think that'd be pretty fun
Hmm.
for this team, but yeah, I don't know if I could confidently say they're going to take a Metro spot
Yeah.
at this time. Next up, we have the Ottawa Senators, who,
They're here because of trajectory, not because of their current point percentage.
yeah, and suffered a tough loss last night, um, that, that put them in a tough spot here. But they are 5 games outside. The 73 points. They're 6th in the Atlantic, 10th in the East. They don't have a lot of influence and control. Here, they only have 4 games against these bubble teams. 2 of them being against New York, the Islanders, which if the Islanders are in a wild card spot, is going to be influential. But if the Islanders take a Metro spot, then
Right.
they really only have a game against Detroit for Atlantic
Yeah.
teams that are catchable. They still have a pair against Tampa, but that's not going to really impact things that much.
Yeah. This team is weird. They're so close to being eliminated, I would say. Like
Hmm.
if they play 3 bad games in a row, they're gone. Like
Yeah.
compared to all these teams because they're out of it, but they have been just crazy hot over the last couple of weeks, which is why they're here. Compared
Hmm.
to the other teams that have 73 points in the Flyers and the Capitals, they also have a game in hand compared to most of the other teams
Yeah.
that are in this Eastern playoff race. So this is definitely an interesting team. Like you pointed out, not a lot of control because they don't play against a lot of the teams that they're going to be fighting with for that wild card spot. Because ultimately, that's really all they can reach at this point is a wild
Yeah.
card spot. They might not be. They might not have too many games against that. They do have an easier schedule though, with plenty of lottery teams and lots of home games.
Hmm.
So maybe it's possible for them, but there really is no margin for error for the Senators. Like there's low margin for error for some of these other teams that are caught up in here, but there's no margin of error for the Senators team. If
Yeah.
they drop a game that they shouldn't, they are probably eliminated.
Yeah. I mean,
And they might have done that last night.
yeah. I mean, if they lose this Anaheim San Jose back to back, then
Yeah,
it's kind of curtains.
it is.
They have to go on a crazy run, and
Mm-hmm.
then I mean we want to talk about a tough part of the schedule. March 28th at Tampa. Then you're at home against Florida, which is okay. Then you're at home against Buffalo, Minnesota, Carolina, Tampa. I mean
Oh,
that's a murderer's row right there.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and that's coming off of you got to win Detroit, you got to win Pittsburgh, and then
mm-hmm.
you got to win against New York. I mean that's a brutal schedule right there, that you have to clean up, and dropping Anaheim, a San Jose, a Washington, God forbid a Toronto on either
Yeah.
end of that
No,
stretch.
those are not losable games for them for sure.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's gonna be tough. I feel much less good about them making the playoffs than I did literally yesterday.
yeah. I mean they win that game yesterday. They are now 3 points outside,
Hmm.
and
And Montreal is not 4 points ahead or whatever it is
five
that
points ahead.
they're
Yeah,
5 points ahead. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Montreal's now 3 points ahead, and you're
mhm.
3 points behind to close a gap here.
Yeah,
Um,
that win for Montreal yesterday was massive for them, and it was massive for the Sens to lose there because yeah, I don't know. We'll see
yeah,
because
trajectory wise, they are maybe outside of Columbus and Montreal, like the probably the third best.
The Islanders have been pretty good too. I would say
Yeah.
I would put them at fourth best right now.
Yeah. But I mean, there's
But Matt
operating
might have
from
been
such
third
a
best
deficit.
before yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah. There's operating at such a deficit that there's just no margin for.
Yeah. For
anything to happen.
some context to their season, they started off the season with incredible underlying metrics and maybe the worst goaltending and finishing of any team in the National Hockey League. Just a combination of not being able to score goals that they should have, plus getting absolutely horrible goaltending. And they've been finishing at a more reasonable pace now, and they've been getting more reasonable goaltending of late. And so their numbers are starting to catch up to where their underlying numbers were, but they just had such a deficit to get through at the beginning. And these other teams around them have, like, you know, if these teams hadn't been doing as well as they would, then maybe there would be a chance for them to come back in. But there's enough teams here in this range that we're talking about here that it's really tough ask for them to get into the playoffs at this point.
Yeah. And then last up in the discussion here, we have the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah.
Who currently occupy second in the Metro by tiebreaker over the Islanders.
Yep.
They are the same as the Islanders, 2 points above. They have a pretty rough schedule here. They have even less control than Ottawa does, or less influence.
They actually have a lot of control with that Islanders game, though. I think that Islanders game is maybe the most important game. Obviously, they have a bunch of other games against good people, and we'll talk about the road trip that they're on from hell right now. But that Islanders game at the end of March is huge for them. Basically, must win, I would say, if they want to be able to have a Metro spot, I would say, and not be stuck in the thing. But yeah, currently they're actively on a road trip from hell, and it's just getting worse. They've got road games against Utah, Colorado, and Carolina upcoming in the next week, which is just terrible.
Yeah,
and then they play against Carolina and Colorado at home after that. And then they also have another home game against Dallas. They play against Tampa Bay on the road.
Yeah.
They do have a hopefully pretty easy end to the season. So if they can get through this rough stretch, they get Florida at New Jersey, Washington at Washington. I'll be at that game, and then at St. Louis. Those should all be very winnable games for them. Naturally, they won't win them all, but those are very winnable games for them. So hopefully they can finish out strong after what is really tough here. Because we also didn't mention, but they are currently without Sidney Crosby or Evgeny Malkin for right now. Only one more game on the Malkin's suspension. He'll be back against Colorado. But dumbass. Sorry, I just had to. And Sid is supposedly closer than original timeline suggested. He is traveling with the team on this road trip. So I don't think he's going to play in any of these games.
Grade 2 MCL spraying, according to insider Mitch Marner.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. No one knows what it was. Just ask Mitch. He'll spill the beans.
Yeah, I'm sure Dubas is real happy having injury news leaked by Mitch Marner of all people.
Mitch Marner, his personal demon.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Penguins have a lot of work to do here, I would say. A lot of this is going to depend on Malkin coming. Like this game against Utah is big tomorrow as the time of recording this.
Yep.
But the Colorado game with Malkin back is going to be tough. They got to beat some of these good teams in order to stay in this.
Yeah,
and then
they can't go 0-6 to the Colorado, Carolina, Dallas, Tampa.
If you had to pick 3 teams that you play against from Pittsburgh's position, though, like bubble teams, you would pick like Ottawa, New York, and Detroit. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, because those are the teams where if you win, though, like them beating Ottawa could just sink Ottawa. Them beating Detroit could just sink Detroit, right? And them beating the Islanders could get them what they need in order to keep the Metro spot. So they do have some control there, but God, this is not the schedule that you want to have when you have your star player coming back from injury, All the stuff. They were rolling so hard, and then Sid got injured, and Malkin took the dumb suspension, and
Yeah.
now they're just kind of struggling.
Yep. And then they
So
got 4 back-to-backs. This is one of the oldest teams in the league, if not the oldest. I don't know where they stand on that anymore. They have
they're either the oldest
Kraken
or the
down.
second oldest for sure.
But yeah, they got 4 back-to-backs. And then one of those old guys, Sid, coming off of injury. He's probably not going to be 100% coming back. He's probably going to come back at wherever he feels like he can skate,
Right.
comfortably. So you don't want to push him in 4 back-to-backs of must-win games.
For sure.
I mean, you're going to have to. So we'll see. Yeah, it's tough. I want to say this team should make it, but I don't know. Could Colorado and Carolina kill the Pens?
Yeah, they could. Also, the fact that they've lost 10 shootouts, they're 1-10 in the shootout this year.
Yeah.
Every one of those points would make you feel so much better about the position that they're in right now. We just got to win a couple of those games, just a couple of shootout wins. But no, 1-10. 1-10 in the shootout.
Yeah,
that is,
I mean, and if they take many more of these games to shootout,
yeah,
that's
that's what I mean. You get those, you
Islanders
get the
game to a
1
shootout?
point.
that's going to be really bad, likely. These
No,
a New
I
Jersey.
would not. Yeah, right? All of these bad teams. The thing about bad teams is that sometimes bad teams just don't concede enough goals. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're playing against Winnipeg and you get Connor Hellebuck, and then it goes to a shootout, and then you should have won this game against Winnipeg, but you're against Connor Hellebuck in the shootout, and it's
And
okay,
Kyle Connor and Mark Scheifele, and that's all they need.
yeah, and that's all. They actually
2
only
guys.
need Kyle Connor. They just need one guy
they really
most of the
score
time.
one,
The Pens' struggles in the shootout have been on both ends, but yeah, I mean it is tough to look at these games and be like, yeah, these are winnable games, the ones that are winnable. But when you're that bad in the shootout and also not that good in overtime, you really have to get things done in regulation, and that's a much harder ask in today's NHL.
Yeah, especially with the quality of teams they're going to be going up against.
Right.
Yeah. So how do you want to do this East?
Okay.
This is tough. I feel like this team has to be somewhere in.
Yes. They're for sure one of the. If I had to pick right now, I think the Islanders and the Jackets make it in the Metro.
Okay.
I think the Pens squeak into a wild card spot along with the Red Wings.
I think that's probably fair.
But it could be any of those 3 teams for that last wild card spot, I think. That one, I think, is the most doable. The Pens obviously could flounder and struggle and not make it into that last wild card spot. But looking at the Bruins and the Senator and how much ground the Senators have to cover, it looks a little bit tougher for them, I think. But I mean, the Red Wings could just look absolutely terrible without Kopp and Larkin, and then it's over for them too. So this is tough. But I do think the current trajectory of the Jackets is probably good enough to overcome the Penguins. I think the Penguins would be the team that it would overcome over the Islanders. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I think. I'm not sure about that spot though. You could easily convince me that Ottawa does it because Detroit is giga injured and Boston has 20 million road games, or you could tell me that Boston is just a better team than the other 2 right now in their current forms because of how much ground Ottawa has to cover. Boston being in that wild card 2 spot right now, and they are a good team. They have been a good team, just mostly at home. So maybe they could win some of those important road games and kind of get it to go. So
yeah, for Boston, there's just the road games. There's too many important ones.
Yeah, and so many of them and back to backs too, and everything like that. It really is a tough schedule for them specifically because of how bad they've been on the road. So. Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, there's definitely
And
and
like Ottawa also has a really tough schedule, and they have to
Mhm.
make up the ground.
Right,
But
but I think
they look
they're
the
in
best
they're in by the best
of
form out
these
of these
four.
four teams. Yeah, of
Yeah,
these four teams, I think they're in the best form. The Penguins have the most games in hand. I think they'll be able to tread water to get into the playoffs. It seems like that could be the case, but
yeah,
like I don't know. It's tough.
yeah.
It's
I mean,
tough.
if Sid comes back and everything's kumbaya, then like this team
hmm
will make it, and they'll probably get a Metro spot over Columbus and move Columbus to a wild card spot. But
It's definitely possible. The thing is they
yeah,
don't play Columbus again, and I'm pretty sure Columbus has tiebreak over them.
mm,
So there is that to think about in
yeah.
terms of which team would make it there and the thing. And but
This team is
honestly,
the most interesting one in this group, I think, of like
yeah,
these teams. They they have a game against the Islanders, two against Montreal, which that's not that interesting, but two against Boston, a game against Detroit. Like they have so much influence.
right. Not just on whether they may get that Metro spot, but also they could be the team that sinks Detroit, or the team that sinks Boston, or the team that sinks. They don't play Ottawa, but they could be
Yeah,
the team that sinks Boston or Detroit, right?
yeah,
So yeah, absolutely a crazy end to the season. I think here with a lot of I think the all three of the Penguins, the Red Wings, and the Bruins are kind of like the Red Wings are a weird team because of how long it's been since they've made the playoffs and the win now moves. So I guess they're not really in the same tier. But the Penguins and the Bruins for sure, neither of them really expected to be here at this
hmm
point. So squeaking into the playoffs would be absolutely monstrous for either of those teams. Um,
The one thing I will say here is that Detroit hasn't made the playoffs since 2019, right? 18.
sure, one of those
It's
years.
been a bunch of years, and they
hmm
have like had stretches of looking like a real team and looking good in the past 3 years, and they've always collapsed and they've always not gotten it done. I mean,
If they do it
who do you
again,
trust to close out the schedule, Boston or Detroit?
hmm
And
yeah,
like part of
I
this
would.
this Boston team,
Yeah, even with how tough that Boston schedule is, I have way more faith in the team, the
yeah.
Boston team, than I do with this Red Wings team. So I don't
So
know. It's weird. It is definitely weird.
yeah, it's gonna be fun
hmm
going down the stretch
There's gonna be a
on both
lot.
sides.
We've highlighted a bunch of games from all these. There's gonna a lot of meaningful games for
Yeah,
with that have massive ramifications on the playoffs. So
yeah.
hmm
So yeah, I that's what each conference looks like. Um, we have
you
some
know what?
predictions. I don't think we feel phenomenal about the predictions because of how
Mhm.
close these races are. But I feel
Yeah,
pretty
there's a
good.
little bit of parity between the leagues too, where I feel like we know we don't know, but we have a decent idea of what the wild card is going to be in the East, or at least
hmm
like I'm not convinced that it's going to be the Penguins. It could be the Jackets, or it could be the Island. Like you know what, like it could be one of, but we know like who the likely playoff teams are going to be. It's that last spot I think that's going to be the most up for
Yeah,
grabs. That's the most interesting, and that kind of mirrors the way that the West is, where we
hmm
definitely know that the Mammoth are going to be that first wild card team,
yeah,
and so then there's just some intrigue in which one of these four teams
yeah,
is the second wild card team.
yeah. All right. Well, that is our breakdown of the playoff push. We'll see how it goes. Only a little over a month left. I
Mm-hmm.
think the last games are on April 16th, so we got a month and 3 days left of the season before we get to playoff mode. Um,
Yeah.
so exciting times for sure. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, follow, whether you're on Spotify or YouTube. And stay tuned. We're like I said, we're going to talk about these front runners that we didn't talk about, and then towards the very end of the season, maybe before the playoffs really kick off, maybe talk about some of these teams down here in the midst of playoff, and talk about
Mm-hmm.
maybe their trajectories. And then lots of other content that we got in the hopper on the way. So thank you all so much, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.